What if I told you a country that's been running its own government, printing its own money, holding democratic elections, and keeping peace for 34 years doesn't officially exist? Well, that nation is Somaliland, and Donald Trump might be about to change history.
Way Gud fan, welcome to Semenenya Spotlight, your front row seat to the Horn of Africa's most explosive stories. Today, we're diving into a saga that could redraw the map of Africa, Somaliland's quest for recognition.
Somaliland.
For over 3 decades, Somaliland has been the best-kept secret of the Horn, a functioning democracy ignored by the world. But now, whispers from Washington suggest Trump may recognize it as Africa's newest nation. Could Somaliland finally become the world's 194th country? Or will this ignite chaos across an already fragile region? Buckle up, because this one's a geopolitical thriller you don't want to miss.
Somaliland has offered the US a military base and access to critical minerals. What's the catch, you ask? Well, it wants formal recognition as an independent state.
For over 3 decades, Somaliland has been the Horn of Africa's hidden gem, a self-declared state that's built a thriving democracy in a region plagued by chaos. Picture this. While Somalia wrestled with warlords, piracy, and al-Shabaab militants, Somaliland quietly crafted a government in Hargeisa, complete with its own currency, passports, and a military. They've held free elections, 6 presidential votes since 1991, with the latest in November 2024, ushering in President Abdurrahman Mohamed Abdullahi. But here's the kicker. No country recognizes Somaliland as independent. It's like being the best-dressed guest at a party no one invited you to. So why the global cold shoulder, and why is the world suddenly buzzing about Somaliland now? Let's rewind to the history that set this stage. Somaliland was once a British protectorate, briefly independent in 1960 before joining Somalia in a union that soured fast. By the 1980s, Somalia's dictator Siad Barre unleashed a brutal campaign against Somaliland's people, especially the Isaac clan. The 1988 Hargeisa bombings left tens of thousands dead. Some call it genocide. When Somalia's government collapsed in 1991, Somaliland said, "We're done," and declared independence. Legally, they argue they meet statehood requirements: a defined territory, a permanent population, a functioning government, and the ability to engage internationally. Socially, Somalilanders see themselves as distinct, their identity forged in the fires of past atrocities. Politically, their stability and pro-Western stance make them a rare beacon in a turbulent region. Now, enter the bombshell. Donald Trump, the deal-maker-in-chief, is reportedly this close to recognizing Somaliland. In August 2025, Trump dropped a tantalizing hint saying, "We are working on that, another complex one," when asked about Somaliland's status. Sources say U.S. military officials have visited Hargeisa, eyeing a base near Berbera's strategic port to counter China's foothold in nearby Djibouti. Project 2025, a playbook for Trump's administration, calls Somaliland a hedge against Chinese influence, and Republican heavyweights like Congressman Scott Perry are pushing bills to make it official. Somaliland's leaders are rolling out the red carpet, offering the U.S. access to Berbera's port and a massive Soviet-built airstrip in exchange for that golden ticket: recognition. Insiders claim Trump could act before 2028, with some predicting a decision within a year. This isn't just talk. It's the closest Somaliland has ever been to breaking through. But here's where it gets juicy. If the U.S. opens this door, Ethiopia's ready to sprint through it. In January 2024, Ethiopia signed a deal with Somaliland,
Promising recognition, access to the sea.
a lifeline for the landlocked giant. Somalia threw a fit, calling it a violation of its sovereignty. If Trump greenlights Somaliland's statehood, Ethiopia is likely to follow, cementing a new regional power bloc. But this could light a fuse in the Horn of Africa, where borders are sacred and secessionist dreams are plenty. Somalia's fighting tooth and nail to keep Somaliland in its fold. Mogadishu insists Somaliland is part of Somalia, backed by the African Union's ironclad rule against changing colonial borders. Somalia's offered the U.S. exclusive access to its own ports and air bases, like Berbera and Bosaso, to sweeten the deal and block Somaliland's bid. President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed's government warns that recognizing Somaliland could embolden groups like Al-Shabaab or spark violence by arming clans opposed to Somaliland's independence, like the Dulbahante in Sul. Somalia's hired top Washington lobbyists to charm Trump's team, even courting his MAGA allies and Elon Musk. It's a high-stakes chess game, and Somalia's playing hardball.
Declaring independence from Somalia in 1991, the people of Somaliland have built a surprisingly stable democracy in a volatile region.
The ripple effects could be seismic. Recognizing Somaliland might inspire a domino effect, with regions like Puntland or Jubaland in Somalia, the African Union, Turkey, and Egypt, key U.S. allies, fear this could unravel the region's fragile stability. Imagine a Horn of Africa where every ethnic group wants its own flag. It's a powder keg. Yet, for Somaliland, recognition could unlock billions in aid, trade, and investment, transforming its economy overnight. The UAE's already poured $442 million into Berbera's port, and a U.S. nod could bring more players to the table. But there's a dark side. Somalia's threats aren't empty. Arming anti-Somaliland militias could ignite conflict in contested areas like Sul. Al-Shabaab could exploit the chaos, and U.S. allies like Turkey might push back, complicating Washington's regional strategy. Trump's transactional style, potentially tying recognition to deals like hosting Gaza refugees, adds more fuel to the fire. Somaliland's leaders are walking a tightrope, banking on Trump's disruptive streak to make history. So, where does this leave us? Somaliland's never been closer to its dream, with Trump's comments and U.S. interests signaling a potential turning point. But the path is fraught with danger. Regional rivalries, clan tensions, and global power plays could turn this hope into havoc. Will Somaliland finally get its seat at the UN, or will the Horn of Africa erupt in chaos? One thing's clear, the world's watching, and Trump holds the match. That's it for this electrifying edition of Semonea Spotlight. From Hargeisa's vibrant streets to Washington's power corridors, we've unpacked the drama shaking the Horn of Africa. Stay tuned for more stories that light up the region. We'll catch you next time.